hell am I?
Bienvenido, stupid. Welcome to Norway. You know what the best part is besides the snow-capped mountainsides and crystal clear water? No extradition to the United States.
Dude, there is totally extradition to the United States. What the hell are you talking? How did we get here? I know I was out of it, but I don't understand. Why are you dressed with corpse paint on your face? What the hell is going on, man?
Well, I figured while I'm here I should pick up a hobby. I'm now the lead singer of a black metal band called Vomit Hammer, and I've changed my name to Christian Slayer.
Wonderful. How on earth did you get me and the desk all the way to Norway?
I drove us.
That explains a lot. I am here. We are a day late, but I have persevered. The will to talk about video games has brought me back to life. I don't know if you can quite see it on camera because there's always glare on my glasses, but my eyes are very swollen. So I ended up accidentally eating something I'm allergic to yesterday. I don't know what it was because I didn't eat much. I had breakfast, which was eggs. There's no nuts in that. And then I went to the movies and didn't eat anything in the movies. And I got home about a half hour later, full-blown anaphylaxis. My throat was closing. My eyes swelled shut. It was actually pretty bad. They're always pretty bad. They usually take me out of commission for a few days. I am not doing well, not feeling well. But I didn't want to miss a show. It's already happened once. I didn't want it to happen again. But yeah, this morning, I mean, is not that long. You know, I'm filming this at 6:44 p.m. on Monday. I am filming this. This morning when I woke up at about 6:30 a.m., my left eye was still completely swollen shut. My right eye, maybe I could see 25% out of, and it was double vision. So work today was real great. I was misclicking Excel sheets or Excel cells and all that fun stuff. But about 3 o'clock or so, everything kind of started to open up. My left eye is still very heavy feeling. I can't see 100% out of it, but I no longer have the double vision. So I figured I was probably good enough to film the show for you wonderful people tonight. I will be up front. This is going to be a truncated show. We are going to skip the news section this week. There actually wasn't that much that happened this week, last week, which is why I'm okay with doing it. The stories that I do have, we are just going to combine into next week's show. So next week's show should be a little bit of a supersized show because not only will we have, technically 2 weeks worth of news to talk about, but also a very big release this coming Friday is the new Star Wars Jedi Survivor game. I'll be picking that up, so I'll have some time to play it on Friday night, Saturday, to be able to give some thoughts on Sunday. So next week's show should hopefully be a little bit larger show. So tonight we're just gonna talk about what I've been playing. I wish I could have played some of these things more, but yesterday there was no way on earth I was going to be able to play anything last night as I just physically could not see. I was double vision, right eye open watching Frasier all night, while just like falling asleep in and out from Benadryl. I apparently watched like 6 episodes of Frasier and I remember watching one of them. So yeah, it was a fun time, but we must press on. So the, first thing up, new release last week. I would say it's a big release. I don't know if everybody would, but to me it is. It's been a long-awaited game. But Dead Island 2 came out last week, although not on an island. It's in Los Angeles.
If they were going to make a game about a zombie apocalypse in Hollywood, you would think that they would have had the decency to give your boy a call and cast him as a quest giver.
Yeah, honestly, I could see you popping up in a game like Dead Island, but you're on the run from the law, so I don't think you're going to be doing much work anyways. Enjoy your band. So I played a little bit of the original Dead Island. I did not play any of Riptide. I actually really enjoyed watching other people play Dead Island. I would say that some of like the best, long ago giantbomb.com content was their multiplayer streams of playing Dead Island. Those are always fun to watch. I've never been much for like first person melee focused games. I've certainly played my fair share of first-person shooters over the course of my life, but in terms of like melee stuff, never really got into it. I've gotten a little bit more in tune with it over the years. I played like Skyrim, played Cyberpunk, and of course, those games have projectiles, but I don't know. I always kind of felt that they were more melee focused. Although Cyberpunk is kind of hit or miss. I played that game very melee focused, but so it's not a genre I dabble a lot in. But I am really enjoying it so far. So you have multiple different characters, or as they call them, slayers, to pick from. Each of them have different stats. So when you're choosing which one you want, they give you like a stat breakdown. I decided to go with Danny, who is an Irish punk rocker. I believe Danny, the reason why I picked them was she, I don't know if it's a she or not. All the characters in the game refer to them as them or they. So maybe saying she, her is not correct, but I'm not positive they could do that for everybody to get around doing the dialogue, for each Slayer. So I'm not sure. For lack of a better term, I'm probably gonna end up saying her. I apologize if that is incorrect. I'm not entirely positive. But I believe that the reason why I went with her was she had an interesting exclusive ability, because they have some exclusive abilities. And then I believe she had a lot of stamina, and I was worried that in a game like this, stamina would be an issue, because you are, losing stamina. You have a stamina bar at the bottom. You are losing stamina as you swing weapons, and obviously the heavier the weapon, the more stamina, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought that would be a good idea. I really do like the way the game plays. If you're holding a heavy weapon, it feels like you're playing with a heavy weapon. If you're using something light like a knife or a golf club or something like that, you can definitely feel, it's kind of, tangible. How do you feel a video game? But, you can, it's much more quicker. Your attacks are coming out faster. It's really well done. I know that the original game had a interesting combat system where you could more focus on body parts easier. I think with the mouse, if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, the way you move the mouse is the way the character's arms would move. This doesn't have that. I mean, obviously you can move the camera up to aim for the head, move the camera low to aim for the legs, all that stuff. The combat is pretty basic. I haven't gotten to any guns. I believe there are guns in the game, because I think I saw something on like the main menu that you could like unlock a shotgun somehow. But I haven't gotten to that. I've mostly been using, when I bought the game, I didn't pre-order it. I just bought it off the shelf. There was some DLC in there that I got. It was like a baseball bat, a club, a couple other things. I don't remember what they were. That baseball bat's actually really good because you can hit multiple zombies with it, so it's pretty good with crowd control, and you can upgrade these weapons. So I have it. So I have like this big knife that when I hit zombies, it'll do electrical damage, and then for the baseball bat, I modified it so it'll do fire damage. So you find these like blueprints for weapons or weapon upgrades along the way, and you can also trade for them. There's like some dealers in different locations. There are kind of like safe zones that you find that if you enter them, like your weapons go away. It tells you even on screen, like while you are in this safe area, zombies will not come and find you. There will be no combat. You are free to explore and all that. So it's a nice break. There's also like storage lockers in there. There's always a workbench to work on stuff as you can repair your weapon. So if you have a weapon that you really like and it breaks, you don't necessarily have to just get rid of it. You can wait to repair it, which I've done several times because I'm kind of focusing on using the same weapons over and over again just because they're working well for me until I find something better. You're definitely finding weapons quite a bit. You're never going to be at a loss for finding weapons. I guess I could theoretically see a scenario where you run out of all of your weapons. That would be a massive combat area. I don't know what, I don't think the game has anything like that, but there's always stuff around on the ground for you to grab. Let's see, what other notes did I have? So there is not much happening in between your objectives. So it's not open world, it's open area. So you actually load, like there are loading screens. You load into an area and then you're free to explore that area. And some areas are small, some areas are bigger, et cetera, et cetera. I've been doing a fair bit of wandering around. I found some interesting side missions because of that. And those side missions, one of which gave me another like safe area to go to. And then when you finish the side mission, you kind of tell the quest giver to go back to like your main safe area. I don't know if that's going to play into the story, like the more people you rescue back to the safe thing. You know, I have no idea if that's going to play into anything, or if it's just like, you know, wrapping up the story, that particular story mission, or I guess it's a side mission, but wrapping up that story aspect of that and saying like, oh, you know, you just go back to where we are, and you know, that's that. There's some weird stuff with the music. So like I said, you're in this open area, but if you're like going from point A to point B, there's not much going on. There'll be some random zombies around the streets, but there are definitely times where it's just been kind of dead, no pun intended. Like there's just not, I'm just going from one end of this road to the other, and there's not really anything happening. I don't have to interact with zombies if I see a random one, because sometimes you'll just see them like digging through a trash can. You don't have to interact with them. So what's interesting though is that sometimes the music just gets like super dramatic out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh wow, like maybe I triggered some combat area and I didn't realize I'm just grabbing scrap metal, you know, pickups, you know, because you have to have supplies to be able to modify your weapons and repair them, so you're constantly picking things up, pieces of scrap metal, fabric, chemicals, all this random stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, I guess I should be ready to be overrun with zombies. And it just never happened. And the music eventually just went back to not being any music whatsoever. And I was like, that was weird. And that happened a few times. But the one thing I will say about this game is, aside from the cutscenes, this is 100% a game that if you wanted to, I have not done this yet, but I could certainly see myself doing this. If you wanted to, you could play this game on mute and then just turn the sound back on for the cutscenes. And listen to music or listen to a podcast or whatever. There's really nothing of any consequence happening when you're not actively engaged with a story mission or, you know, in an actual cutscene. So there's really no, impetus to be on alert, really. I mean, you could visually see zombies. I mean, yeah, I guess there have been times where I heard one and I was like, oh, there must be one somewhere around here, and you can go and find it. But for the most part, they're going to come to you. When they see you, they pretty much come towards you. And they will follow you from quite a ways. There was one where I was in this house. I was in the backyard of the house and I saw a zombie saw me, and I was like, well, that's too far away and it's in the opposite direction where I'm going. I'm just going to keep going. So I keep going to where I'm going, and I stop to gather some supplies, and I hear the zombie, and I turn around and it's like, oh, that's the one. It followed me all the way from the pool. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. You know, they kind of have like a one-track mind. And some just stand there and take a beating and never attack you. Some will attack you moderately, and then some are super hyper aggressive. And then there's like named zombies that usually typically drop an item related to whatever you're working on. You know, whether it be a mission or, you know, the keys to the garage or the house you're in or whatever. I've only faced one boss so far. I'm like 4 hours into the game. I have been doing a fair amount of just wandering around. So maybe if I was more critical pathing it, I would have gotten farther into the story or seen another boss. But I've only seen the bride boss so far. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I guess that's about all the notes I have. I would recommend it. I really do like it. I got it just because I wanted something else to play, and, you know, I've kind of made that pledge to play different kinds of games, and not only just play different kinds of games, but just play more games in general. Not just, you know, take a look at the year and go, well, I'll play these 5 or 6 games and that'll be good for me. Like, you know, I've really been trying to play a lot of variety, and, I expected that this would be fine. Like, I didn't think that I was going to like it as much as I have. It is going to be tough. You know, I'll see how much I can play this week, leading up to Star Wars coming out. And so we'll see how, you know, we balance back and forth between this and Star Wars when Star Wars comes out on Friday. But I definitely recommend Dead Island 2. If you're looking for something different to play, maybe Star Wars isn't your cup of tea that's coming out on Friday, you know, pick this up and give it a shot. It seems like it's running well on all platforms. I'm playing on PS5, frame rate's good, haven't had any bugs, no random issues. Usually games like this come with an expected layer of jank, and this just hasn't had it. It's been great. I haven't had any problems whatsoever with it. So yeah, definitely recommend Dead Island 2. Moving on past that, I played a little bit of the Street Fighter 6 demo that was released. Last week, they announced a bunch of Street Fighter information, and they released a demo that was not a multiplayer demo. No traditional just versus CPU fights or anything like that. This was focused on two of their single player, I guess, technically modes. One is the World Tour, and then the other one, I can't remember what it is. I think it's some type of like gauntlet mode or something. I focused on the World Tour mode, and that was interesting. It was both what I expected and not what I expected.
Oh man, I am pumped for some fighting games. I've been watching the best of Norwegian martial arts cinema ever since I got here. You should see the things that they can do with fish.
The hell's Norwegian martial arts cinema? All right. So when you start the mode on the demo, you get a full created character suite. I assume it's probably just going to be the same that launches in the retail version. I can't imagine it's going to be any different. It's pretty varied. You can make some crazy characters in it. I made like a grizzled old man with a very long beard down to his belt buckle, with blue eyes. No control over what your appearance is, because in the open world that you are thrust into, you can spend in-game currency. I don't know if there's going to be a actual money currency that you can spend to increase your in-game currency. I would say probably. Capcom is not opposed to microtransactions, so I would say that is likely. I have not heard one way or another. I also haven't really dug into it. But the thing that kind of threw me off, I guess, is, you know, the way you are fighting in this game mode is you just have your basic attacks. You don't have any special attacks. To a degree, like, the way the control scheme is set up is, I tried their like new control scheme where the triangle button on the PS5 was your special attack, and it was I think I had an uppercut and like a charge forward punch, something like that. And when I got to the tail end of my time with it, it kind of said like, oh, you know, along the way you can pick up the ability to have the special moves of one of the main characters in the game, like one of the playable characters. And so I don't know if that's, I guess it depends on what way they go with it that strikes my interest. So one way would be if you could, for your created character, combine the special attacks of multiple characters. Like maybe you want Ryu's fireball, but you want Guile's flash kick, like that kind of thing. Like that would be kind of interesting, because then you could really try and tailor the character to your particular play style. Maybe you want a mix of charge moves and a mix of quarter circle motions and stuff like that. Or I don't know if it's going to be the opposite direction, which is the least interesting option, which would be, oh, you just have Guile's attacks and special moves, or you just have, you know, whoever's. So I don't know. So the gameplay, I didn't feel like I got enough from the gameplay. Like I got enough to know that I like the way the game plays. But it was difficult to not be able to play as one of the main cast of characters. That just wasn't part of this demo. And at the time when they were doing the previous like betas and demos and stuff, I guess I just didn't know if I was going to get the game or not. Maybe I just hadn't seen enough. So I decided not to download or try to get into any of those. And now I wish I had, because then I would have actually gotten to, like, I don't necessarily feel like I played the game. I feel like I played like a version of Street Fighter 6. It's cool that this mode is in there. I could see myself messing around with it a little bit. Maybe it would be kind of like the My Player in NBA 2K, which is similar to this. You're thrust in this open world and you kind of play basketball on the side. This is the same thing. You can also walk up to anybody on the street, press a button, and trigger a fight with them. You know, I play the My Player in NBA for 6 to 10 hours and then I'm good. And then I just want to play basketball. So maybe that'll be what this is. You know, I play this 6 to 10 hours and it's like, I just want to play online, or I just want to jam against the computer. You know, my days of, trying to be competitive at fighting games are long gone. You know, I don't play very many fighting games anymore. When I do, it's typically an older fighting game, you know, kind of like my go-tos. You know, I you know, never going to say no to sitting down and playing some Mortal Kombat or Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or, you know, King of Fighters, you know, stuff like that. You know, I'm always up for some retro fighting games, but I don't really keep current at all with fighting games. The last one I really got into is I did play quite a bit of Street Fighter 4. I played quite a bit of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I played quite a bit of the first BlazBlue. But beyond that, Third Strike, which is 20 years ago at this point or something like that. Like I just don't keep up. I just don't keep up with them. It's not that I have anything against the game. It's just, it's difficult when you don't keep up with fighting games and you don't become very good at them. When you play them against other people, you just get completely destroyed, and eventually you just kind of get discouraged and you don't want to play them. But with Street Fighter 6, I will say that it looks like they are putting enough content into the game that is kind of single player focused that maybe that won't turn people off so quick. That if they do go online and get housed, 5 matches in a row, they're not like, oh, screw this game, I don't want to play it anymore. They can just be like, well, I don't feel like playing against other people right now. I can go back into my open world and screw around, or I can do this gauntlet against the computer or something like that. I think it's good to have options. Same with Mortal Kombat did the same thing. It's like, well, you don't feel like just playing exhibition matches against a computer or your friend or playing online. Here's this full-blown story mode that we did with cutscenes and voice acting and the whole 9 yards. So fighting games, it's taken Street Fighter certainly a lot of time to adapt to what a modern fighting game probably should be. But it looks like they have found a formula for them that, for all intents and purposes, looking from the outside in and getting to experience a little bit over the weekend, seems like it's going to work for them. So I am excited to see what the full game brings. And that comes out in June 6th, I believe it comes out. I believe it is the same day as Diablo, if not within a couple of days of each other. The last thing I played was the XDefiant beta. I watched some footage of the game over the past week, and I was interested in it, and I wasn't quite sure how to get into the beta because I did not want to just sit and watch somebody on Twitch for 30 minutes in hopes of getting it. So I did find a way. I did download some software, which I promptly uninstalled from my computer to get into the beta. I did not get to play much of it. I played just their domination mode. They have some other objective type modes that are very similar to what you would see in like Fortnite, where you're like escorting cargo through the map. I just wanted to play straight domination. I don't believe there was a team deathmatch equivalent, but honestly, I don't even really like team deathmatch that much anymore. I'm, even in Call of Duty, I'm pretty much domination player is what I like to play. So with XDefiant, I don't know if I was just horrible at this game because my brain defaults to Call of Duty when I'm playing a first-person shooter, or maybe it's just because I haven't really been playing first-person shooters much lately. I have been trying to play a little bit of Call of Duty every week with the new season and the new maps that are out there. I played that night vision map. That was cool. I did like that in Call of Duty. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I played that and that was neat. So with XDefiant, I just felt like I was getting killed very, very fast, which was interesting because I was watching somebody play on YouTube and they're like, man, I feel like the time to kill is super, super slow in this game. I felt like I was just getting buzzsawed every time I even remotely was in the same area as an enemy. And there are plenty of times, obviously I don't know the maps as well as other people that have been just grinding this game, but there are plenty of times where I just got killed out of nowhere. I didn't see anybody on my screen. They must have been behind me or above me or something. I just had no idea what happened. But it does play pretty similar to a Call of Duty. I would say that's the closest analog to it. Obviously, game mode wise, it's taking influence from something like Overwatch, but in terms of actually playing the game, having your hands on the controller and playing the game, it's very similar to Call of Duty. The biggest difference is you cannot go prone. You can only crouch or stand. So there is no prone. I don't know if I necessarily missed it. There are definitely times where I instinctually tried going prone, and obviously I couldn't. But I think it's something you would just get used to. I don't think you would need to. I don't think it's something to really complain about. The graphics are something that definitely needs to be addressed, and it seems like the company is going to address them. It's not that they look bad. The game looks fine. It has nothing to do with that. It's that it looks like somebody cranked the saturation up like super far. Or if you've ever seen like those like shitty HDR memes online where everything is just like super bright and vibrant, oversaturated to like the nth degree. Like it was rough. Like it was like my eyes were like bugging out like looking at this game, but it seems like they are going to fix it up. I don't know when the game comes out. I assume it's probably this year. I mean, I felt like I was playing a fine product. It didn't seem super out of the ordinary in terms of bugs, jank, or anything like that. It didn't feel like I was playing like an alpha or something like that. It felt like I was playing a completed game. There are obviously some things that they need to figure out. I think time to kill is definitely something they need to tweak. that color and saturation stuff, that's easier stuff to fix. But in terms of gameplay, I need to play more before I would actually have, a solid opinion one way or another on the gameplay. But I will pick it up whenever it comes out. It's going to be free to play. They're going to be heavily microtransacting it, just like they do with like Rainbow Six Siege. If you're not familiar, this is it was a Tom Clancy game. They took Tom Clancy's name off of it, but it is a Ubisoft joint. So it has characters from Watch Dogs, Splinter Cell, Siege, and Home? No, The Division. Sorry, not Homefront. They did not do Homefront. You're not playing as any of like those characters from the game. It's just like, here are people from DedSec from Watch Dogs, or here are people from Echelon from Splinter Cell. And I think they have different stats somewhat. I know I played as a lady from Echelon. Weapons unlock the way you would expect them to unlock. There's attachments, all that stuff. I didn't get to mess around with that too much. There's a battle pass. Even in the beta, there is a battle pass that will apparently carry over to the full game. If you're watching this the day that I put this out on Tuesday, I believe the beta ends today on Tuesday. I think it's the 25th. They ended up extending it. I think it was supposed to end on Sunday, but they kept it open. I'm going to try and, if it's not over with by the time I get out of work tomorrow, I'm going to try and play a little bit more. My eyesight and my headache is just, I'm not there to play video games tonight, so I won't be playing any more tonight, but I think they got something there. I don't know if it's enough to be the next breakout kind of shooter. I know people would probably say like Tarkov is the last breakout shooter, but that is kind of like its own genre. To me, I would say like the last big out of nowhere breakout shooter was Apex Legends. But again, that's a battle royale shooter. It's not a traditional shooter like Call of Duty is. And this is, in a way its own thing. I think, when if I were to hand you the controller and I would say, what is the game that this reminds you of the most? You would say Call of Duty. It definitely doesn't remind me of Halo, and only the game modes remind me of Overwatch, not the way it plays. Although they're actually, you know what? No, never mind. I'm wrong. There are character abilities, like the character I was playing as could go invisible. So yeah, I guess, maybe if I handed you the controller, maybe it would be 50-50 if I heard back, oh, this reminds me of Overwatch, this reminds me of Call of Duty. That's right. There was abilities in it. Yeah. It is its own thing though. It is just kind of a combination, a mashup of the two, but it is its own thing. And if they really put the time and effort into it, we've seen what Ubisoft can do if they put time and effort and energy into a game. Siege became popular over time. They just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and eventually it became this really big thing. So I could definitely see them doing the same thing with XDefiant. People online seem to enjoy it. It's been getting lots of views on Twitch. A lot of people talking about it. People were, trying to figure out over the weekend, like, how do I get into this beta? It was a thing that people wanted to try out. So yeah, give it a whirl if you can. If it's not done by the time the show comes out, I don't know what time on Tuesday it's ending, but I'm sure they'll run more events for people to play. They want people to play this. At some point, they're gonna have to start doing stress tests on servers and all that stuff. So there'll be opportunities to play this game. But like I said, I'm not sure when it comes out. I imagine it's this year. So that's going to wrap it up for what I played. Like I said, I just don't have the energy. Even just sitting here for the past half hour, I am dead. So the only thing I will say, reiterate from the beginning, like I said, I'm going to tie in all the news into next week's episode. So should be a little bit of a super-sized, super soaker backpack, super soaker episode next week with some extra news in there. Plus Star Wars thoughts, and I'm sure I'll have played more Dead Island by then. So the last thing I will say is, because I've turned this show into having like Steve's movie minute. When I watch a movie, I give my thoughts. I went to the theater over the weekend. I saw Evil Dead Rise. I had earned a free movie ticket for being a loyal Regal Theaters customer. With how infrequently I go to the movies, although I have ramped it up this year, it takes me about 2 years to earn a free movie ticket, but turned in my free movie ticket, saw Evil Dead Rise, and I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. I really enjoyed it. I thought the two main ladies that were in it, the mom and the sister, cannot remember the actors' names. The characters' names were Beth and Ellie, I believe it was. Really good. They were great. They were absolutely fantastic. Stole the show throughout that. I really, really enjoyed it. It is a very fun horror movie, very gruesome, very graphic, very gory. Some good comedy in there. Evil Dead eventually became a comedic franchise for a little bit. The remake wasn't, the original wasn't, but this kind of blended the two together. Definitely had some comedic elements to it. I believe at one point the mom calls her children titty-sucking parasites, which got a big laugh from the theater. And one thing I did not expect, how crowded the movie theater would be for a horror movie at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. I thought I was going to kind of be alone in that theater, but I certainly was not. It was quite a bit of people in there. So yeah, if you're looking for a horror movie, check out Evil Dead Rise. But other than that, that's going to... oh boy, it's going to wrap things up for a very tired Perfect Reload Weekly this week. I just want to go crawl back into bed and put on more Frasier and listen to Kelsey Grammer's dulcet tones lull me to sleep as I dream of Daphne and Eddie the dog. Christian, before we go this week, anything you want to say?
Who knows where we'll end up next? I'm like Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, I want to end up back home. I don't want to be in Norway. Norway seems lovely, but I want to go home. Bring me back to the land of not being able to afford health insurance. That's what I want. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me with this sickly, truncated version of the show this week. We'll be hopefully back to full speed next week. But take it easy and see you soon.